Said that before. Looking forward to today's workshop. If you partake in the past workshops, you may have seen me once. Allison's done quite a few of those and has one more on deck in a couple of weeks. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we just want to run through quickly the agenda for today's meeting. And that is, we're going to cover everything LinkedIn today. Give you some background details about the platform itself, the users. Talk about the two platform styles. There's a personal profile and there's a business profile. And there's distinct differences between the two and what you should be doing on each one of those. Talking specifically about content and analytics, both are very important for the success of your pages. We're going to touch base on advertising, not diving too deeply from the standpoint of in 2 weeks, we'll be discussing that in a deep dive, but we'll kind of gloss over the top of that. And if we have a little bit more time, we may go into a little bit more depth. We'll see how it goes. Talk about some of the other new features that are coming out or have come out, but are relatively new for the pages. Give you some takeaways, and then we'll have some Q&A. Now, if you have a burning question that you would like to ask during the presentation, please feel free to do so. But if it's something that you think can wait, hold off till the end. We'll have some time at the end for Q&A, and we can definitely go into discussion at that time frame. Plus, we'll give you both our emails. So if you have a question later on, feel free to email either one of us, and we'll send the note back to you. So what is LinkedIn? What makes it so important? Why is it such an important tool versus other social media platforms? Really to understand that, first you need to know the basics about LinkedIn. Here's some interesting stats. It has 760 million users. So you think that's a great number, but also you can think, yes, that's a great number, but it's also far less than Facebook's 2.7 billion users. But that's really okay, and I'll explain why in a bit when we're talking about why it's such an important platform. So of those 760 million users, 675 million of them are active users, meaning they use it on a monthly basis. And of that 675, 40%, so nearly half of them use it daily. So that's truly why it's a great platform, because it's a captive audience that uses it on a regular basis. In addition, more than 30 million companies are on the platform, and users are located throughout the world, more than 200 countries globally. In fact, and this is something interesting, 70% of all LinkedIn users are outside the United States. So that's a key component, especially if you do international business. Currently, 50% of the users are male, but the reality is I kind of suspect that will balance more in the coming years as millennials and Gen Zs continue to enter the workforce and join the platform. They're our fastest growing user base for this platform. It's growing in popularity in the US though as well. One of the things I mentioned earlier, 70% are outside the US, but it's quickly becoming a positive platform for the United States. In 2018, for example, only 28% of the US population used LinkedIn. Today, that's now 53%. So in a little over 2 years, it's nearly doubled in usage among American citizens. So really important platform and continuing to grow. Here's another neat little dynamic is it's pretty evenly split between the millennials and the Gen Y group, Gen X, and the baby boomers. And then you also have that 65 plus group in there. It's the smallest group, but think of them also as probably the most influential decision makers. They're at the pinnacles of their careers generally, leaders of companies. So not to dismiss that, but the other group is a great avenue for a number of reasons. You have the perfect mix of folks that are young professionals entering the career, those that are starting to become decision makers, like millennials and Gen X are entering that stage, or Gen Y are entering that stage within their careers. You have that mid-range career group that are in the decision-making positions already. And of course, you have those that are the 50 to 64-year-olds that have quite a bit of experience, feel comfortable with what they're doing, and are looking for new things to improve their business. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. So why is this important? Oh, I'll come back 1 second. The importance of this is LinkedIn is a perfect opportunity for networking. It provides that opportunity for networking, sharing valuable content, reaching decision makers. And one of the other advantages for particularly if you're in HR, is it's a great platform for promoting job opportunities. So now, here's probably one of the most important aspects of LinkedIn and why it's a marketer's dream. It's where Fortune 500 decision makers and top executives like to spend their spare time. And they're not just perusing to kill time like you do on other social media platforms. More often than not, they're scrolling through actively looking for valuable content for them to read. When I say valuable, I mean content that provides nuggets of information for the way they can change their business and do business better. So that's what separates these programs from this platform from all the other platforms. Users don't have to weed through quizzes, photos, memes, funny content to get the good information they're looking for. And that's why I said earlier that even though LinkedIn has far less users than Facebook, it's really about quality and not quantity. The quality and the type of audience you can reach, and the quality and the content being shared. And that really is the defining difference between LinkedIn and all these other platforms. So we're going to dive into the personal profile page. Allison's going to talk about the professional page or the business page. Personal, as I mentioned, there's those two types, personal and business. For personal pages, you need to really think of this as your own resume, highlighting your own professional career and expertise. This is where you get to showcase you and your talents and what you've done from a career standpoint. It helps you reach out to folks that are looking to do business with you. But if you're starting your career, it's also a great opportunity to showcase your college education, what you're looking to do, and move forward from there. And hopefully HR folks can see that and say, hey, this person motivated, got the skill set I'm looking for an entry-level position. It's time to bring them on board. A couple of key things is visuals, just like all the other platforms, is key. So make sure you do this well. Difference between this and other platforms is this should be a professional looking photo, whether it's a headshot, whether it's the cover page or cover photo in the back. And everything you have on this page should be professionals. For example, with your headshots, don't use selfies. Don't use you and your group of friends being partying, that type of thing. No pets, no group photos. Save those for the other platforms like Facebook. Keep it professional, look into the camera, smile, and keep a neutral background. And a little tip here is, you're going to see this in front of my Mary, is make sure your photo, your headshot takes up a good amount of the circle that's provided for LinkedIn. The reason being is you can see this fine on a laptop or desktop, but if you're onto your phone, it's going to get really tiny, and it's important to be able to see your face. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a few seconds. Next, please. So here's an example of a LinkedIn profile picture that actually shows personality. And I think you'll probably recognize him, Bill Gates, and easily recognizable, but most people don't realize that his company actually owns LinkedIn. He just bought it in 2016 for $26 billion. So if you have a little bit of change, maybe you can buy it off him. Otherwise, good luck. But the good news is, and I'm talking about these headshots, is you don't need to go out and pay someone to take a professional headshot if you don't have that ability. Your phone works perfectly fine, takes a great picture, probably better than a lot of other cameras do actually. But just think about the background you're using, make sure you take a good picture. Make it sure it's professional, smile, show some personality. It's key, and here's why. Researchers out of the University of New York did a study on how headshots impacted the way a person is perceived, and found that excuse me, I'm trying to rate this so I get this correctly. Found that a person needs only a 33 millisecond glance at your photo to form an impression. That includes evaluations of your trustworthiness, status, and attractiveness. All that in an extremely short amount of time. Making that, or compounding that issue is, lead researchers also found that no matter how long they viewed the photo, their initial impression never changed. So that means that anyone viewing your profile, recruiters, hiring managers, potential clients, etc., are all forming the first impression the moment your picture pops up. So it's important to smile and use a good picture. because how they see you in that first few milliseconds is what they're going to be thinking about you for the rest of time.
Well, and just to build off of that as well, when in doubt, think about what would you wear for work? That's a great option for your profile photo. Like Cole said, smile, because friendliness, will help capture someone else's attention at your profile. So really think about, would I wear this for work? Will this be an appropriate photo? Does it take up most of the frame? Are you clearly recognizable? Just a couple, questions to ask yourself when deciding.
And there's a good little saying, I think, that still fits today, is dress for the job you want, not the one you have. And that's always tends to hold true if you're career oriented and you want to continue to advance. So also important to think about your cover picture, and that's the bigger picture in the background that you see behind Bill Gates. It should be reflective of what you do. For instance, this is a great cover picture. It's a collage of his philanthropic activities, highlights a lot of different things he's involved in. It's a perfect picture from that standpoint. Now, this isn't a feature that you can do right on LinkedIn as far as the collage is concerned. You have to go into Photoshop or some other program, create that collage, and then import it in here via JPEG. But make sure it's not busy or distractive or take away from what it is you're actually trying to achieve from a career standpoint. It shouldn't be a group of your friends partying in the background or this and that. It really should be professionally oriented.
Again, does it reflect you in your professional life? Not that it has to be, self-branded or anything, but is it appropriate for work?
Yep. Next, please. Next, please. So then also, there is your headline, and that is the end all be all, about second to your photo as far as important information is concerned. And that you'll see underneath here, you'll have your name, you'll have a description of what it is you would like it to say. So as far as your name concerned, make sure you have your name. When you create a page, it gives you a kind of I don't know what, bogus ain't the right word, I can't think of an alias, that you then have to change into what your name should be. So don't avoid nicknames, avoid things that aren't professional. Use your real name, but then use a professional headline that goes with it. And I'll give you a quote from David Ogilvy, who is considered to be the father of advertising for those that don't know him. Very important in my career aspect. The quote says, on average, 5 times as many people read the headline as read the body copy. When you have written your headline, you have spent 80 cents of your dollar. So that means you spend 80 cents out of every dollar right here in this first couple of sentences or lines of character above your name. So make sure it's reflective of what you do. Keep it brief, keep it informative. You can make it innovative if you'd like, if you have an interesting career that maybe has a little bit of a tidbit. If you're a rocket scientist, that's a pretty cool title to have sitting there. But avoid trendy things, buzzwords like specialized, experience, skilled, passionate. They're not bad words, but they've been overused to the point where they're almost meaningless nowadays. So best practice is to use your current employment information, like a job title, or research other profiles. You can look at other profiles for inspiration if you'd like. If you're a career seeker, this is your chance to state what career path you're seeking, such as motivated UWG grad with degree in engineering seeking job in the field or something along those lines. And now, Allison, I know you actually did this when you were fresh out of college.
I did. When I was graduating from my senior year of college, I was recommended from professors and career advisors I believe at the time, my LinkedIn headline was recent college graduate with degree in communication and media, or recent college graduate seeking career in public relations. I didn't necessarily include what my degree was in because that was already included in my profile. So encouraging them to go check out my profile, see who I am, because again, it's so reflective of your resume.
And it goes back to specifically in that instance, HR professionals can seek out those types of headlines and find the qualified person. I was actually reading a story not too long ago where I think she was one of the top execs at Google, was talking about social media and specifically LinkedIn as I do a little bit of research for this presentation. And she had said she had gotten her last 2 jobs based off her LinkedIn page and how detailed she had it. She wasn't applying for anything. She wasn't job seeking. They saw her page and reached out to her. So that's how powerful this platform can be, especially.
Which is also interesting because if you stop and think about it, for most people, your resume is on a single sheet, 8.5 by 11 paper. You want to fit as much information on that as possible while, clearly defining who you are and sharing your key, career highlights and degrees and whatnot. But think of LinkedIn as an opportunity to expand your resume where the little things that there might not be room for to fit on that one single sheet of paper. So, really take the time to fill it out and outline who you are in your career and all sorts of things that Cole's about to dive into a little more.
Yeah, she's jumping ahead of me.
I have a quick question about the, if you have a note about seeking a particular career, is there a way for employers or HR individuals to filter users based so that they can maybe identify the group of individuals that they're seeking employment?
I believe so. I've never used LinkedIn from the hiring standpoint, but I would guess, again, back in college when I was looking for jobs, you can filter as the user for what you're specifically looking for. So I would think it would be safe to assume that you can from the hiring perspective as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the things that I read that LinkedIn is trying to become is the end all be all place for new job hirings. And so to that goal, I'm sure they have their demo or their analytics set up to be able to search from that standpoint, because it's such detailed, the capabilities of these platforms to laser focus in on demographics of any type, including, their title.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great platform for that.
Okay, thank you.
So also with your personal profile, include your location. Seems like something simple to do, but people don't do that sometimes. Be sure it's in there. It identifies your geographical area for potential customers to find you. So if someone's looking for a manufacturer in Wisconsin or Green Bay, they know this will pop up. And this is a friend of mine. His name is Sachin. He is the CEO of Wisconsin Aluminum Foundry in Manitowoc. But he lives in Green Bay, so he has Green Bay listed. And that allows people to create those connections with you on a variety of different levels. So it could be because of your professional title and you're a peer of yours or trying to sell business to you. It could be because of your location. It makes those connections. And when I say connections, think of those as connections of LinkedIn are like Facebook friends or Twitter followers. It's the same concept, it's just another phrase out of terminology. And like most social media platforms, it's important to continue to grow your network. That's the whole purpose of this, is to build that network of peers and coworkers and friends, to have those B2B experiences so that you can either share your information, sell to somebody, they can share back information to you. And all of it is about content that you can either use to improve yourself, improve your business, or help somebody else that you'd like to help. And that's what this is all about. And talking about being about, there's an about section here for you to highlight your experience and the projects you've worked on. So make sure you fill that out. It's about 2,000 characters it allows in there. So you have to be very specific in the industry. You should be formal in this and industry specific, but it's really a great avenue. Also on here is you can include your educational experience. Sachin, as you can see, is highly educated. I'm quite jealous of him, but I know him very well and he's worked very hard at this. It's pretty impressive. So detail that information. It can show your area of expertise from a learning standpoint. You can put in the years that you were there, the degree that you have, any awards you received while you were in college, or activities that you participated in. Mine, I think, says I was on the Fourth Estate newspaper from EWGB when I was in college there. And then you can also include your experiences. And this is where, again, this is where you detail out what you do as a profession at each different level of your job. So he was CEO, he has some very detailed information regarding what he's doing currently. But as you can see, at one point he was a professor at St. Norbert, and prior to that, he was over at Sierra. So he's detailed out his experiences so you can see where his progression is taking place from a knowledge standpoint in the base, definitely making it more important from a standpoint of people understanding that, yes, he has strong knowledge of what he's representing from his page. There's also an area to include accomplishments. Don't take advantage of that. Any license and certifications you may have. If you volunteer at organizations, that's something you should include. It's a neat aspect that people are looking for nowadays is folks that are community minded. So make sure if you do volunteer, fill that out. If you don't volunteer, Allison and I both do a lot of community work, so we ask folks to do so. It's important. Of course, any awards you've won. A key aspect, if you speak a different language, include it here, but something that's really cool about LinkedIn is that they have an option to have your single profile published in multiple languages depending on how many you speak. So that's kind of a neat aspect to it that other platforms don't offer. Skills endorsements are an important aspect to, or important section of this page. And all this is scrolling down one single page. These skills you select, you can populate in here yourself, and then folks can go on and validate them. The skills you choose should actually validate the headline you have at the top of your page underneath your photos. So what it is you do as a career should be listed in these skills down here. And there's a whole variety of them to select from. The benefit of these skills page is that you can get endorsements from your friends, peers, coworkers, the folks you do business with, and that helps build that solidity of you're an expert of what you do. It provides third-party validation to what you're saying your skill set is. And one way to get these endorsements is through your connections. You know, it's easy to reach out to your friends, ask them to endorse you. Sort of like Twitter in a respect, if you go endorse somebody, a lot of times they'll come back and endorse you back. So that's a great opportunity as well. So make sure you take advantage of that. Another thing to note is there is a profile strength meter on your page, and we're not showing here, but it's only visible to you. That meter indicates that information may be missing from your profile that can make it stronger. So pay attention to that meter because it'll show you where you're lacking and where you should be beefing up information. And the whole purpose of making it stronger is so that more people can see it when they're out looking on the internet. And then always review your profile from time to time. It's kind of like a lot of other things. If you just leave it stagnant, no one's going to look at it. You know, if you get a job promotion, if your title changes, if you change jobs, make sure that's reflected immediately on your LinkedIn page. Not only does it update from a standpoint of, yes, it's fresh, but when you make those updates, it kicks out information to all your connections to let them know that, hey, something's changed with your profile. And a lot of times it generates them to send a congratulations back on a new job or your promotion or whatever it might be. Just do those updates from time to time so it remains current information. And specifically, if you're actually looking to advance in your career, it's an opportunity for HR folks to see you at a current stage where you are right now and say, okay, is this someone I'm looking for as a candidate for a position I'm trying to fill? So that's the personal profile page. I'm going to throw it over to Allison and take a deep breath for a minute, and she's going to talk on the business page side.
All right. So since LinkedIn is mostly a business-to-business platform, but also B2C in terms of connecting with potential and existing customers, it is a great place for businesses to be on. And I highly recommend that all businesses create a LinkedIn profile if you don't already have one. For all intents and purposes, for today's discussion, we'll be referring to small businesses and small business profiles on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn considers any business with under 200 employees considers them small business. So I think it's safe to assume that most of us watching today work for a small business in terms of the LinkedIn world. When you go to create your profile, LinkedIn will walk you through step by step with the necessary information you have to include. But we highly recommend filling in the page as much as possible, because a page that's completely filled in is 30% more likely to receive views from visitors in a week than a page without completed information. So use your website as your guide for filling in your page. So who knows your business better than you? What information do you want to share? Really get to the heart of who you are and what your business does, so you can use that as just another way to share about your business. I don't know about you, but certainly if I have a hard time finding a business website that I'm looking for, I often do turn to social media to find them, especially if it's a little unclear based on the company name. I will check LinkedIn to see, if I can find them there as well, and help validate how to find their website. So as you can see from the LinkedIn, or from the Chamber's LinkedIn profile, it's clear from the get-go who they are and what they do. They've been building businesses since 1882. They have that clear in their cover photo as well as in their profile picture. Businesses should just use their business logo for their profile picture. That should stay static for the lifetime of the page unless you update your business logo. The cover photo is an opportunity to have a little fun and switch it up from time to time. If maybe you want to change it with the seasons, or if you have a holiday promotion or an event coming up, that's an opportunity to get that visual graphic at the top of your profile in the cover photo. The About section, which is kind of in the middle of the page that you can see, that allows up to 2,000 characters. So that's quite a lot of copy for social media. Perfect space to really get to the heart of, again, who your business is, and maybe just using some copy that you already have drafted on your website. And then encourage your employees to be on LinkedIn as well. As you can see, kind of under the cover photo where it says following, this is a screen capture I took while I was logged in to LinkedIn looking at the Chamber profile. I have 2 personal connections to the Chamber, so it reminds me who those connections are. But if I'd like to see all of the Chamber staff on LinkedIn, I can find them there as well. If your employees share your company content, it will get better interactions than if it's just posted by the company. So certainly encourage everybody to share content if they feel comfortable. Just another way to build your following and page engagement as well. Just briefly touching on a couple other things we'll go through on the rest of this presentation as well. We had a question earlier about jobs. If you're hiring and do choose to post to LinkedIn, that job opening will be listed on your home profile as well if people are interested. LinkedIn events are fairly new. They've been added within about the last year. They're very similar to Facebook events. Those are also included on your home profile. And LinkedIn favors video content, so they also have a section on the profile front and center where they can watch your videos. So how do you access your page? Being a page admin is like the back door to your business profile. We recommend having at least 2 page admins per LinkedIn account, if not more. That way, if someone would leave, or maybe they get locked out of their profile, or someone's on vacation, that there's someone else there who has access to all of this information. But you can certainly have more if you'd like as well. This is where you would post content to your page, but also view analytics for content, Facebook or LinkedIn followers, excuse me, as well as LinkedIn visitors. LinkedIn will break down for you not only who your page followers are, but those who are just visiting your page, kind of an inside look at who they are and getting to know them, how you can maybe attract them to your page to come back later on as well. Oh, right. Where else should we dive into this page? As you can see on the right-hand side, in the mobile view, this is again the About section, kind of a guide as to what should be filled in about your business. But one thing that's also different about LinkedIn compared to the other social media platforms are business specialties. So I don't know if you can read this or not, but for the Leonard and Finko page, what we have listed for our specialties: public relations, social media, crisis management, community relations. You can have up to 20 specialties about your business listed in this section. So plenty of room to share who your business is and what you're all about. And another opportunity to use these specialties in a unique way only to LinkedIn, they're internal hashtags. So as you can see back on the desktop view on the right-hand side of that photo, you'll see where it says hashtags. LinkedIn will allow you to have 3 internal hashtags for your business. Now, this doesn't mean that they'll auto-populate into when you create posts. It's kind of another form of search engine optimization within LinkedIn. So we recommend switching out these hashtags to the different specialties listed every few months or so. For example, if I was unfamiliar with the greater Green Bay area, I could turn to LinkedIn and search public relations firm, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Having hashtag public relations listed within our business profile is another way, again, like search engine optimization, for people to find your page.
And one of the things that's neat about that is there are actually other programs out there, and the name escapes me. I'll think of it before the end of the program, in this presentation, is you can take keywords that you use in your business, plug it into that program, and it'll give you a mind picture of all the words that are trending around that word on the internet at that time. So that's a neat aspect to pick and choose other things that you might want to choose from a keyword search and plug it into your specialties area, or maybe as a hashtag for that day or for that week, depending on how long those buzzwords change. And you can go on and think of, well, once a day on some of these, it's free to be able to plug in a keyword. So something that you should think about when you're doing that, when you're thinking about this, populating these particular sections of the business page, from the standpoint of everything you do that makes your page even that much more stronger from an SEO standpoint means you'll likely end up higher in search results when someone's looking for that particular word or phrase.
Yes. And another way to make your page stronger that you have access to as a page admin are the page analytics. Like I mentioned, you can see analytics for your posts, which we'll get into in a couple slides, but also your page followers and your page visitors. This information includes who they are, as in where they live, at least roughly a general area, their job function, level of seniority within their company, the general industry that they're in, and roughly their company size. So this screen capture, again, is from the Leonard and Finko page. It's not much of a surprise to us that our top followers work in PR and communications, followed by marketing and advertising. It makes sense. We share a lot of tips and content, about PR trends from our profile. But then the more specific industries, these might be people who are clients of ours or potential clients. Maybe they're also, in their, for example, higher education. Maybe they work in PR for a university. So they're following our page as a way, as a resource for learning more tips. So just another way to learn who your business or who your followers are, excuse me, and what kind of content they might be interested in. But it's also a way to know if maybe you're missing the mark with your followers. Cole, do you have an example for that?
Yeah, if you're, this followers isn't aligning with what you're trying to sell your business. If you are a bakery and you're telling to sell donuts and you're selling, your followers are all bicycle makers, that's not lining up right. So your content clearly is missing the mark for some reason. So make sure that you pay close attention to your analytics. Make sure that the folks that are following you align appropriately with what it is you do from a business standpoint. So depending on your mission,
What your goals are.
Yeah. So are you trying to sell something? Are you trying to gain clients for a consulting service? Whatever that might be, make sure that the bulk of your followers align with that goal. Now, that doesn't mean all of them have to. Clearly, you're going to have friends and peers that are going to be your followers that
Right.
are just following you because they like you as a person.
And and remember as well, your staff falls under the category as a follower. If they like your page, they're automatically counted in with that group. So that also is going to impact those numbers as well.
Right. And that's actually a key point too, is with your friend or your coworkers, make sure they like your page. That helps build that SEO and reach even further out than from just the page itself.
Absolutely. So what should you be posting to your business account? Try to keep posts under 150 words. They do allow videos, photos, links. You can post a blog. LinkedIn is actually the only platform that will allow you to post a PDF or a whole PowerPoint if you want to. A couple tips: if you're going to post a video, again, they give great favor to it. Try to keep the video between 30 seconds and 2 minutes to help hold the audience's attention. Anything longer than that, they're more likely to stop watching because they don't necessarily have that free time within their day. As you can see from the example here from the Greater Green Bay Chamber, they appropriately tagged St. Vincent de Paul. That's where this video, I believe it was taken. So they tagged them in it. It's another great option for increasing engagement, but also encourages St. Vincent de Paul, giving them the notification that they were tagged in this post, that they should share it as well. The chamber included 3 hashtags in the post. LinkedIn allows up to 5 hashtags, and they will suggest hashtags for your posts, but it's completely up to you. You don't have to include any at all. If you're going to include them, I would recommend no more than 3, even though they do allow up to 5, just to help kind of keep it clean. And they also include proper branding as well. This photo on the right here, this is Natalie, our newest team member at Leonard and Finkel. This was just a general introductory post to the world, letting her know that she's now with our company. It performed very well. People like seeing people. And so that it's, just kind of a fun way to incorporate both business news, but also to introduce a new team member as well.
So that's one of the things I just wanted to touch about, because we didn't talk about too in depth on the earlier part of the presentation. We kind of touched on here is it's all about content, and it's about the quality of the content. Again, taking advantage of the things you do in the community, like the chamber did with this event at St. Vincent de Paul, is awesome. It shows they care about the community. And a highlight of a new hire is always a good opportunity, no matter what company you are. It puts a face to your company. It shows some personality, and it shows that you're growing. These are great content that you could post at any time, but also think about the things that provide benefit to others. Never think about these platforms, particularly LinkedIn, as a sales tool for yourself. It's not about me, it's about them. It's always about them. It's about what content can I share with them that would help them do their business better, or give them a chunk of knowledge for them to just be better people in general. So think of it always from that way.
Right. You are an expert in your field. So share your expertise with the world. And LinkedIn allows personal profiles. You can't do this quite yet on a business profile, but there is a blog option within personal profiles. So that's a great option for content if you wanted to share a blog to a business profile. We're hopeful that that'll be coming down the pike in the near future. But you could have maybe the business CEO or a staff member post the blog to their personal profile, and then the company shares it as well. So it's just another option as well, sharing your expertise. So what can you learn about your posts from analytics? So again, here's our photo of Natalie. It received 111 impressions. Impressions on LinkedIn are a little different than they would be considered on Twitter or Facebook. It has to take up at least 50% of the screen. So think about when you're scrolling on your phone or on your desktop or laptop, did a post take up at least, 50% of the post take up at least part of the screen. So let's say you only saw the top of this post, or maybe you were just scrolling so fast that you just went right by it. That did not count as an impression. We like to say, what would be thumb stopping content? If you're scrolling, what's going to make you stop and want to read a post? So to kind of think about that, what your followers might be interested in. Any sort of click counts as engagement. So this could be a click on the photo, clicking to see more, a click to the profile, putting like, leaving a comment, sharing. All of that adds up to create engagement with the post, but it also influences the click-through rate. This could be clicking on the post to expand it, or clicking on the profile. So you can kind of learn what types of posts are driving followers, not only to your profile, but to your website as well. Okay, so since we're a little short on time, I'll just briefly touch on LinkedIn advertising. We will be having one more presentation with the Chamber 2 weeks from today, just focusing on social media advertising. So we'll certainly dive into LinkedIn with that and expand on this a little bit more. But just to kind of give an overview, like all social media advertising, it's so important to plan ahead of time what you want to say and share with the world, but also what you want that post to look like. So, you definitely want to put your best foot forward on LinkedIn for all content, but this is especially true for advertising. So let's say you just had some really great photos taken of some product, or maybe you had a really nice video put together, kind of giving an overview of what your company is. That media should be used for advertising, but also selecting that media will help you choose not only which objective to choose in advertising, but also what your copy should be as well. There are about 7 different types of objectives to choose from on LinkedIn. And thinking of all of that information ahead of time will help make it easier to choose which one to go with. And again, we'll explain that a little bit more 2 weeks from today. It's also important in advertising to know your audience before you create the ad. You're allowed to have super specific audience targeting within advertising. So really focus in on who do you want to attract with this ad. It's totally okay to be specific within LinkedIn. They'll tell you if you're being too specific, but they'll also tell you, hey, this, you could narrow this down a little bit more, maybe within a certain radius within your business. That would help target that down a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And it's also important to know before you get started, kind of, again, the importance of analytics and being familiar with your page and what content is performing well. Look at your analytics before, during, while the ad is running, and after, to kind of help point you in the right direction of what's working and what isn't, and maybe what adjustments we need to make in the future to have a better performing ad. So just touch on, there are 4 main types of LinkedIn ads. Sponsored content, for the most part, appears in your newsfeed. This will look the most like a Facebook ad, if you will. This could be a video, a photo, a link to your website. You could have a carousel of multiple photos and videos with different links. That's an option as well. It'll be very transparent that it was paid for. As you can see at the top of the ad here from Capital One Business, it says that it was promoted, just to let everybody know that they did pay for this to appear higher in their news feeds than if they don't follow Capital One Business. Another type of LinkedIn ad is sponsored in-mail. This looks a lot like an email. This is the only type of advertising across all social media platforms that is this lengthy. Again, it's totally okay if it's worded like an email, but also it's transparent. There are actually 2 call to actions, both at the top and at the bottom within the signature. But one thing that's also unique about this type of ad, it will only appear while you're logged in to LinkedIn. So I don't know if you ever felt like how you're on LinkedIn and all of a sudden it says you have an inbox message. Where did that come from? Well, it's this ad. They will only send you the ad while you're logged in. So that way they know that you're going to actively click on it to see, oh, what's this message? What did I just receive? The 2 other main types, text ads, are very short and to the point. They have to be under 100 characters. I always like to say, not only is it shorter than a tweet, but it's shorter than an old tweet. Tweets are currently 280 characters. They used to be only 140. A text ad has to be under 100 characters. So really, how can you best capture someone's attention to get them to click to your website? We recommend using your business logo as the photo and drafting a few different copy options just to get under that character limit ahead of time. And then dynamic ads are also unique to LinkedIn. They are not available on any other platform. They will pull their audience member's photo into the ad. So this ad that I received promoting job opportunities at Facebook, I am the only person who can see this ad. If Cole was logged into LinkedIn and received this Facebook ad, his profile photo would be inserted into the ad because it's just another way for them to capture your attention because you're looking back at yourself. I know it's a little weird, but who's going to capture your attention more than you? So this ad will work for promoting a job opportunity, maybe a website link, or like an article or following a page as well. So just a couple other newer features available on LinkedIn for businesses. LinkedIn events are a lot like Facebook events. If you've ever done one of those, another way to promote what you have coming up. Also new within the last year, LinkedIn stories. These are a lot like Facebook and Instagram stories, but those can only be viewed while in the mobile app. They are not available at this time for desktop. There are not story ads at this time, but we do suspect that within the next few years, that will be an opportunity as well.
So we're nearing the end. So the key takeaways from today's presentation is build a strong profile. Fill out each of these sections available to you in detail. Make sure you have some good, you use strong words that are representative of what your career goal is or what you're in the process of trying to achieve. Use quality photos in content. Make sure they're professional. Don't share beer parties, that type of thing. And use content, as again, I talked about earlier. It's about them, content that provides value to them. That's what's going to strengthen your connections within your own page. And then always review analytics. It's important key aspect, especially on a business page, only on a business page, I should say, is to review the analytics from the standpoint of what type of content you're doing, what is working, what is not working. And that's a key component too. Not everything works, and that's fine. That's good to know, actually, because then you stop using that type of content. Or
You should be trying new types of content, taking, I don't know if risks are necessarily the right word, but give something a try and you'll learn what's working and, you know, what might not be worth trying again.
Absolutely. You know, there's no such thing as failure unless you phrase something in a hurtful or spiteful way. Try different things, find out what's working and what's not, repurpose things. If something's not working, but it's still a core element of what you're doing, then think about how you can repurpose or rephrase the information to make it work. And then, as I mentioned earlier, update your profile often. Don't make it stagnant. Don't create it once and never look at it again for 6 months or a year, maybe 2 years. Update it on a regular basis. Like I said, if you get a promotion, you change your job, or on a business profile, the hashtags frequently swap out, some of your keyword phrases that represent who you are as a company. Take a look at those and swap those out, update things, change out some photos from time to time, make it fresh. And those will be successful tips that you can use anytime to continue to build on those pages. With that, we'll plug the last one of a 6-part series. It's in 2 weeks. It's Ads Up. Social media advertising, and Allison and my other coworker Katie are going to be doing a deep dive into all of these 4 platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, with regards to advertising. They do it all the time. They know this stuff inside and out.
We'll be diving a little further into LinkedIn advertising than we had time for today. So can talk about those different objectives a little bit more, you know, a little more about each of the 4 main types of ads, as well as how to set up an ad and how to budget and target audience and whatnot as well. So with that, we do have time for questions if anyone has any. Also feel free to email Cole or myself if you have any follow-up questions, or give us a follow on LinkedIn if you'd like.
Thank you so much. That was some great information. This is Brenda from Journey Consulting. And what we're running into is, as a small business with, well, Jane is, you know, she started the business 13 years ago, and we've started adding consultants, but she's got 1,500 followers, whereas the Journey Consulting website has 178 as of the moment. So it's kind of been trying to figure out how we do this. Obviously, you don't want to brand around one person, but you also have to be smart about that. So I guess I just came on about 3 months ago and have really kind of started, you know, the marketing stuff, you know, kind of ramping it up along with our partners. And what we're doing right now is sharing, you know, I'm posting it on the Journey Consulting and then having her share with a comment. But really there's no, you know, anything that makes someone go, oh, I should follow Journey Consulting, because they're already getting it from her. Any thoughts on that? I guess I don't know what else to do besides just kind of going with what we're doing right now.
Sure. I mean, I think it's a great idea. She should definitely be sharing content from time to time, but also maybe tease it a little bit, kind of saying, you know, she could say flat out, hey, give us a follow to learn more consulting tips. There's great content that I don't always have time to share on my personal profile. Give us a follow to learn some more. I'm trying to think, there was something else that crossed my mind when you were talking. Oh, maybe if there is something that she could try with the blog feature on her personal profile, and then having the business share that as well, especially if it maybe became like a monthly or bi-monthly blog topic. That would be a good way to kind of promote the business as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And a couple of things, and Allison, you may disagree with me and feel free to throw it in there, but contests are a great way to get people to go to a page. I'm not sure if LinkedIn is the best platform for contests necessarily, but maybe if it was the right contest.
I think it also depends though on the business type.
Yes, true.
Mhm.
So that might be a way to tease, to drive people, follow my page and enter for a chance to win whatever it is you might be providing.
I just remembered what I was going to say. It's totally okay to cross promote on your other platforms as well. That you have, that you're on. Hey, you follow us on LinkedIn. Did you know that we also have Facebook and Twitter and vice versa? But also, maybe kind of saying, hey, we have these business tips on LinkedIn that we don't always necessarily have time to share on Facebook, even though it's, just as easy to share it on both. Just it's totally okay, about once a quarter or whatnot, to remind people where you're located, and having that in your email signature as well.
I was gonna say, don't forget about that's a key one.
Yep. And I think part of it is that anything I'm going to post for her on our consulting site, we're also going to post on hers, because if you're going to have it out there, you want to make sure people even see it. So I'm kind of running this, does it really even make sense to try and get people over when it's the same content? It's kind of, what is the draw? But I don't know. I just didn't know if any words of wisdom, or just keep doing what you're doing, or.
I think it's still shared. I think it's still worth it to share it on both, because it might not be, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but I'll be scrolling through my news feed and like, oh, that sounds interesting, but I keep going. Like, I'll come back to it later and I forget about it. And then I see the other person share it and later, and I thought, oh, that's right, I wanted to go read that. So, definitely worth to do it on both.
Yeah, and if you have the time, Brenda, one of the things, a technique you can use is maybe just rephrase some of it.
Yes.
From one platform to the other, so it looks kind of like fresh content, even though it's similar or almost the same.
Great, thank you.
Other questions? That was a good one.
Yes.
We could not have covered everything you ever wanted to know about LinkedIn in 45, 50 minutes.
Because we had a hard time narrowing it down.
Hi, this is Joan. I know my screen says Bill, but it's Joan. I have a question. I write a lot of blog articles, and I know I've been talking about blogging on the personal page. Is that called writing an article?
Yes.
Okay. So is it better to write the article, add the picture, headline, and all those things, or is it better to post a link to an article that you've already posted on your website blog page?
Oh, that's a good question.
That gets them to the website.
Yeah, I think, I think it would be a good idea to do both from time to time. Certainly, we always encourage, driving traffic back to your website, so that way they know where it's all located. There wouldn't be anything wrong with posting it on both, especially if you wanted to post the LinkedIn article to the personal page and then maybe sharing the link from the website to the business page. That would be an option as well. Just thinking if there's anything else off the top of my head. Cole, do you have any thoughts?
No, I think you answered that perfectly. I would agree. I think in our business, most of the time, our goal is to drive everything back to our clients' websites. That's where you house the nth amount of detail about your business, and if someone can purchase something, whether it's retail or B2B, that type of thing. So
I have another question. I'm a little confused about how I make more connections, how I issue an invite of some type. Can you tell me a little bit about that process?
Sure. Don't be afraid to, if you don't know someone, you can still reach out and send them a connection invite, or maybe dropping them a little note saying, hi, I'm Allison. I work in PR. I saw your profile and I'm, interested in learning more about your business, or, certainly maybe if you have some connections from the past, it's always recommending, if you, especially because it's important to include, your education and past work experience, they will suggest, oh, you might know this person who currently works for that business, or, this person also went to this university. There's nothing wrong with getting to know them as well. Or let's say you're out, once the chamber is having, in-person networking events again, and you receive that business card from, however many people you started to get to know the night before, maybe send them a LinkedIn connection and say, hey, it was great meeting you last night. Looking forward to the next event when we can chat again.
Yeah.
All right, we are past the 9 o'clock time, so I want to make sure that we get off on a great foot today. So thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Allison and Cole, for the great presentation. We learned a lot. Again, the next one is on January 26th at 8 a.m. and it is about advertising on social media platforms. So thank you all. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Five down, one to go.
Yeah, one more.
Yeah, well,
It
Yeah.
did well. Yep. Yeah,
we'll make
we had some good questions.
Mhm.
Some good questions, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Small group. I think I counted, what, 4, 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I had one email me while we were in, said she couldn't get, or she was not able to get in. So she had something else going on. So yeah.
Hopefully 9 paid.
Right.
Otherwise, we're just doing this to do this.
Right.
Yes, make some money.
Yeah. Yeah. They were good. So, all right.
Thanks,
All right.
Mickey.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks.
Take
All
care.
right. Have a good day.
You
You too.
too. Bye.
Bye.